Welcome back to Drive for History, guys. All this week we've been highlighting bikes with character, bikes with personality. You've seen the 1935 Indian Herm Levine Chief, the Elmo Looper Super X with the circulating oil system. Today we've got out the 1940 dual carb knucklehead. We decided to end the week with a bang. Incredibly cool bike. I'll tell you all about it here very shortly. Now, here at the museum there's over 350 motorcycles. Everything's American. Everything runs. Now, so much more than your off the assembly line motorcycles. You know, showroom condition machines definitely have their place here at the museum, but there are so many racing bikes, original paint motorcycles, bikes with character, bikes with attitude, bikes with great stories, which is why we devoted this whole past week to bikes with character. So right here, the 1940 dual carb knucklehead, very special bike to myself. In 2010, my dad and I built this bike entirely out of parts. Started with a pair of 1940 matched knucklehead engine cases and a pair of dual carb hot rod knuckleheads. So this machine is 84 cubic inches. It's an absolute burner, runs as good as it looks. I'll walk over some of the features with you guys. Now, pretty standard 1940 knucklehead frame and front end. Now what we've done is we've rubber raked it a little bit, as they used to say, kept the 18-inch wheel up front, 16-inch wheel in back. So that's back in the day, they called that rubber raking. You kind of tip that front end up a little bit, squat the rear end, great traction, awesome for doing burnouts. We'll get to that in a couple minutes. Genuine 1941 to 46 knucklehead gas tanks, incredible original speedo, and accessories out the yin yang on this bike. So it's got the ultra cool 1949 Springer riser setup, beautiful set of ultra wide Flanders handlebars. You just got great grip. One of the coolest parts on this bike, check it out, Steve, is the Magdraulic front brake. And this thing, when we took it out of the box, was new old stock. You can still see some of that original decal right there on the bottom. Now, what the Magdraulic brake is it works like a trailer brake. This is an electric front brake rather than the mechanical setup that Harley used from, all the way up until the disc brake stuff in the 1970s. The Magdraulic brake was a period accessory. It's wired into your switch and wired into your battery, operates off this rheostat up top, so variable current. When you grab it, you don't feel any resistance whatsoever. Now, the more that this generator's pumping juice out, the better that brake works. So particularly high RPMs, it works much, much better than it does at low RPMs. So one of the neat things about the dual carb setup over on this side, now what we used was a pair of M88 Linkarts. So 84 cubic inch twin cylinder engine. Traditionally, the knuckleheads, of course, as y'all know, were single carbureted setup. They used a slightly bigger carburetor, 1.5 inch carburetor, as opposed to the 1.25 setup. These two M88 carburetors are off maybe a Harley Davidson WLA. They've kind of been modified for their use. Now, one of the reasons that the dual carb guys like to use those smaller carburetors is you're only feeding one cylinder per carburetor. So you get to go with a little bit smaller throat, a little smaller venturi. It keeps the velocity up, and this thing is ultra snappy. Now, down low, we've got the rocker clutch, standard tank shift setup. This is a 4-speed. With the rocker clutch, what we actually did was welded on a pair of WR pegs to keep your pants out of the carburetor throat. So what happens on a lot of these dual carb setups is if you get the tight clutch here, you've got no room on this carburetor here, and you're sucking in a pant leg, fouling out front cylinders. What we've done is we've added the WR foot peg extensions, which really allow you to work that clutch just the same as a stock setup without having your pant leg get sucked into that front cylinder. So super cool, ultra rare club casting floorboard mats. The pipes on this thing, pair of Chattanooga twin stacks. Stories Twin Stacks was the company that made these. They were out of Chattanooga. They absolutely make the most incredible sound. This thing is an absolute burner, guys. It's fast. It's even power, with BT&E taillight in the back with a little flip up. It's got all the character and attitude of your late 1940s, 1950s period bobber stuff. So we're going to get this thing fired up here right now, and it ought to roar. So a couple prime kicks. Now over on the other side, guys, if you check this out, what we got is choke on both carburetors. So this is a cold start. It's been about an hour and a half since we had the motor running. So 1, maybe 2, and a third kick on prime, and then we're gonna bring these chokes all the way open and back 1 click. So a little bit of spark retard, key on, ought to make some noise. Baby purr, man. It doesn't get much more fun than a dual carb knucklehead right here in the aisles at Wheels Through Time. We've got a few more black marks laid down. Now, if you guys remember, there was a period of time where burnouts were happening here at the museum every day, sometimes 10 times a day. Crocker Motorcycle, the big fish. Now the 1940 dual carb knucklehead's a member of that club. Proud to have it back out. Great memories of building this thing with my dad. Thanks guys for tuning in to Drive for History. We got all sorts of more content coming to you next week, the week after, and the week after, guys. Make sure you're tuning in. Check out driveforhistory.com. Support the museum today. Remember, it's you guys that keep our wheels rolling. Thanks.